This segment is brought to you by Cardiovascular Institute of the South, providing our patients the highest quality cardiovascular care available. All right, we are back, and it is that time again, Good Vibes time. I'm Martin Faust, along with Debbie Cox-DeNova is in the house, and she's wearing red today because the topic is understanding love.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a wide topic.
It's a wide topic, so we're going to do a crash course
All right, okay.
on many of the things that might be important to people at home, whether you're dating, you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, right? Things that are they're most important according to the research. So most of this comes from Dr. Anna Machine, who is a world-renowned expert in love, and she's actually an anthropologist, so she studies it from a very neurochemical, biological perspective. And a lot of what we call love really is about this neurochemical flow that happens when we see people. Now, love in humans happens in two stages. First, it's the unconscious, which we share with all animals, right? Attraction. Mm-hmm. And then second is the conscious. So what happens in the unconscious state is that automatically, and they have research to show this, and this is very interesting because I think you and I may have talked about the study, mm-hmm. the T-shirt study, where they actually had men put on T-shirts, weren't allowed to wear deodorant, no lotions, no cologne, nothing, just their own smell, and then sweat in those T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And then they took those T-shirts and put them in individual bags, and then they let unsuspecting women smell the shirts and rate the level of attraction that they had. And what they found is that women are very good at picking up who is biologically compatible with them through their olfactory system, but not men. Men don't have the same thing, and they think it's because it's more costly for a woman to get pregnant, and then, so she's kind of wired to, with all of her senses, take in and look for the biological market value, is what Dr. Anna calls it, of the man that she is actually with. So for women in that first unconscious state, there are things like that. We're picking up on the smell, right? We're also picking up on, and it's appearances are less important to women, let me just say that, than they are to men. But for women, there is a ratio, a shoulder to waist ratio of 1.6% ratio between the shoulders. So it's a classic triangle, okay, for men. Now, Dr. Anna says, don't worry about this because this is really just Olympian level athletes who has that ratio. But this is the ideal when they do cross-cultural research to ask women what they're attracted to. And the reason they believe that's true is because women are looking for strength, protection, provision, high testosterone signals success. So again, they're looking for that biological advantage. Now, men, very interesting, who have been in studies and they do eye tracking software, what they notice is even before they look at a woman's face, can you guess what they look at?
I'd hate to guess on TV.
It's true. Yeah. All right. Waist to hip ratio is what we're looking at. Right. And so what's interesting is that across the board, like, again, cross-culturally, there is a specific ideal ratio that's just 0.7. So it's depending on the culture, some cultures like their women a little bit more,
robust,
right? Yeah. They have like women who, are curvier, but the ratio between the hips and the waist stays the same. And if you look at it from a biological perspective, this is signaling fertility. This is signaling health, right? So a woman who is in her prime, fertility-wise, is going to have a thinner waist and larger hips. Says that she's good at fertility. Once women start to hit menopause, or that ratio tends to change, and then they're not as biologically, So that's all happening in unconscious.
That's so they could hold the baby on the hip.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So there is that unconscious part, but we are not just animals. We are humans. And one of the most advantageous thing, and the thing that makes humans so successful, is our brains, right? So once somebody opens their mouth, so you have the attraction, you're looking across the thing, and what happens is that it stimulates something, right? And she said the two neurochemicals that are associated with love are really dopamine and that beta endorphins and oxytocin, but then there's also beta endorphins that's involved. So dopamine and oxytocin are stimulated immediately. And so oxytocin really lowers the fear barrier. So like if a man is like, ooh, you know, like she looks really good. Well, that fear response that comes up, like, oh, she's going to reject me and all of that, oxytocin will actually help to bring that down. And then of course, that's not enough. We need dopamine to actually be motivated to actually go forward, like move in, you know, toward the other person. So there's that attraction point right there. But once the other person opens their mouth, that's where the conscious part of love actually comes in. That's where we can override. And what we're looking for in both genders is kindness. So one of the worst things that you can say to somebody that you've just met that you're interested in is something unkind. Even about, like, this is why they always say, like, how do they treat the waiter, right? And why it's so enraging sometimes for people to actually witness someone being unkind is because that is, like, biologically, that is not an advantageous thing to pass on, right? So both parties are interested in kindness. And then the second worst thing that you can say to a new person that you're attracted to is something that is against their value system, because compatibility is a really important factor. So if someone is saying something that is completely, you know, we've got politics, we've got religion. Like if you have if you say something that is against the other person's value system, it's almost like the front part of the brain, even if you're super attracted before that, goes, nope, not it. Like, you know, and kind of pushes away from that. So these are two things to kind of keep in mind whenever you are going in. And after we come back from the break, I can actually talk to you about Dr. Machine's hacks for first dates to actually, if you're on a date with somebody who's really attractive and you want the best neurochemical advantage and getting them to be super attracted to you, she does have hacks for that.
Yeah, don't put a car freshener. You might screw up the whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right, I can't wait to hear it. We'll be right back. Don't go away. This segment was brought to you by Cardiovascular Institute of the South, providing our patients the highest quality cardiovascular care available. All right, welcome back. The topic today with Debbie is understanding love. And she was on a tear right before the break, so we're going right back to her. Keep on going.
Yeah.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So for anyone who is in the dating, first of all, just to recognize, first of all, because I coach a lot of people who are frustrated with the dating experience. It's different now than it used to be. And the reason it's different in part is that we have a broader network of people to pull from with dating apps and just the internet in general. So one of the problems really is that there are a lot of people, and the barrier of entry to dating, you think about way back when, it's like you go on a date, first of all, you have to have somebody who introduces you, or you have to see them somewhere, and then you're getting ready, and there's a whole process. So it's a higher investment. So the way that you take the date is more serious. There's much more much more of a higher likelihood of you falling in love with that person because there was so much investment into it. Now, like low cost, low investment. So people are in and out of dating. They're like going on a date. They're going, with someone else, which Dr. Machine says is actually the way that human beings are designed is not monogamous. So it's kind of like it's a natural course of things. The other thing, though, is that there is a paradox of choice. Humans are horrible when we have a lot of choices at making one choice. And this is especially true for people who have a lot of options in the dating field. So we weren't biologically wired for it. So it's causing people to kind of like not actually settle down on one thing. And then you also, way back whenever you were going to date somebody, there was a filtering process that maybe happened in real life, right? Like, so you're next to the water cooler together, you notice how someone is, and you filter first before you actually go out on a date. These days, the filtering process actually happens on the date many times. This is why I tell my clients there should be actually a period of time where you're doing a video date first, so you can actually take in visually at least what they're like. You can save yourself a lot of wasted time by going through an actual compatibility conversation first. Do at least a video thing before you start investing in going out places with someone, paying money and all of that.
Well, check their mannerisms are different things.
Well, exactly. You can tell a lot visually. Obviously, you can't smell them.
Right,
thing. But the smell thing, like that's all of these things are unconscious. Men don't recognize that they're looking at the hip to waist ratio. Women don't recognize that they're picking up on the smell cues. These are all happening unconsciously. So once you're on a date, let's just say, oh, okay, I like this person. Like, what can I do? The ideal date, if you want, like, if you neurochemically want someone to be attracted to you, is to go dancing first. Because you think about dancing is, first of all, there's touching probably that's going to be involved, and that releases oxytocin. Then there's movement, which releases endorphins, right? We like that too. And then if you're not really good at it, there might be some laughing involved too, which then now we've got, beta endorphins, we've got dopamine, we've got serotonin, all of these really delicious chemicals. Now, you do that. And then afterward, if you go out to eat, she recommends curry, something spicy. Why? Because there are pain receptors that are inside of the gut. And so if you stimulate them with spicy food, what happens is that the body will respond by producing beta endorphins. And beta endorphins really are for pain relief, but it will create this like sort of relaxed euphoric effect. So it's just enough stimulation. Obviously, if you have a sensitivity to spicy foods, that can go in a different direction. Don't do that, right? But like, if you're okay with it, what you want to do is kind of, for them as well, and as for you, if you can tolerate spicy foods, get your body to eat that, because the endorphin response, the beta endorphin response will give you that relaxed and euphoric feeling. And then if you want to top it off, go somewhere where you can laugh together. Funny movie, comedy show, because laughing together is a really amazing thing. And if you really stink at dancing, both of you actually stink at dancing. Remember we talked about vasopressin bonding, where it's like you're going through a challenge together, getting to the other side. There's that extra neurochemical that's going to help you to bond.
Or go see Amityville Horror Part 5, where they could hug all over you.
Right, stress, right, stress response, and it's like, exactly, yeah. So those are some, like, if you're going on a date, if you want to, but then once you get past that barrier, you want to remember that, like, those neurochemicals really biologically were meant to bring you together. There's a halo effect. We talked about that. And then you kind of come to a place where in a lot of ways, it kind of tricks you. Like, the prefrontal cortex doesn't work quite as well as it needs to whenever you're in that attraction phase, right? So you want to know that that's going to come down. And then you want to actually be aware that having a broad network because we know that, like, platonic relationships and spiritual relationships and all different kinds of relationships actually engage the same systems. So we need to start broadening our thought of what love actually is, and not put all that pressure on our partner, because that is the downfall of a lot of relationships, is you're looking to that one person for all of these things. And then the other thing is to not fall to cultural myths, like, oh, there's just one person in the world for you and love will prevail, because that keeps a lot of people trapped in abusive, toxic relationships that are actually damaging for their sense of well-being and their health. And so when you actually understand that these are essentially lies, then you can actually evaluate the relationship according to whether or not it's healthy for you, for your children, all of that.
All right, that's a great topic.
Yeah, thank you.
It's deep, too.
It's deep. It's a lot.
That's a lot to sit and map out.
Yeah, and I know that we don't have a lot of time to deep dive into it, but the show that we did on attachment theory really is an important thing to
So
understand.
if you're going
to
to buy an air freshener for your car, get the pheromone one.
Yes. I have a friend who has a company called 11th House, and it's
Really?
pheromones. Yeah, and it's unbelievable, because it really does make you
I was
feel.
just joking.
No, it's a thing.
Okay, wow, there you go. All right, Debbie, great show.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there you have it. So, understanding love. Play this back real slow and absorb everything. We'll see you next week. This segment was brought to you by Trapp Chevrolet. We're always on your side.